Silence only becomes unsettling when it refuses to explain itself. Women aren't thrown off by loud men, arrogant men, or even pretenders. They're thrown off by the one man who refuses to participate in the game entirely. Social psychology shows that most people depend on predictable cues to interpret interest: tone, flirtation, body language, reassurance. When those signals disappear, the mind panics and instincts take over. That's why, around a Sigma male, women sometimes laugh at things that aren't funny, fidget like they're in a commercial, or suddenly turn cold and distant. It isn't magic. It isn't mystery. It's disruption. You're not offering the predictable rhythm they're used to. No scripted flirting, no exaggerated charm, no emotional breadcrumbs. And when you don't follow the pattern, their behavior becomes unpredictable in response. Imagine stepping into a room where everyone is performing a well-rehearsed play, but you refuse to read from the script. Instantly, they forget their lines. Sometimes it's genuinely amusing, like watching someone try to reboot mid-conversation. This is why women act strange around Sigma males. Not because you're trying to confuse them, but because you've unplugged yourself from the system they're trained to navigate. They lose control of the script when you stop participating in it. Number 1. You embody a freedom they can't influence. One of the biggest reasons women behave unpredictably around Sigma men is because you project a level of freedom that can't be tied down. Most men, whether they admit it or not, anchor their identity to something external. Social validation, female attention, peer approval, or the constant need to perform for respect. That attachment makes them easy to read. Predictable. Manageable. Women know exactly how to navigate those men, and manipulate them if they choose. But with you, that attachment doesn't exist. And when someone can't be controlled, even subtly, it unsettles them in ways they don't consciously understand. A Sigma doesn't rely on trends, titles, or the world's applause. Your energy quietly communicates, "I'm whole with or without you." That kind of inner freedom is rare and powerful. Women find it deeply attractive, but also deeply unnerving, because it whispers, "You can't claim me. You can't steer me." And that disrupts the usual dynamic many women rely on. It's not rebellion. It's not fear of commitment. It's internal sovereignty. That kind of autonomy makes women react strangely because it forces them to evaluate their own influence. Suddenly, the tactics that work on most men, flattery, pressure, emotional hooks, don't land the same way. You stay centered. This flips the usual power balance. Instead of you orbiting around them, they feel themselves pulled into your gravity. Some lean in harder. Some retreat abruptly. You don't fit the mold, and the blend of attraction and lack of control makes their behavior unpredictable. In short, you represent freedom that can't be caged. And that mix of magnetism and uncertainty explains why women act so strangely around you. Number 2. You remove the emotional training wheels. Most women are used to men supplying small hits of validation. Compliments, attention, small reassurances, constant signals of interest. These little gestures become emotional training wheels that make interactions feel safe and predictable. When those cues vanish, people lose balance. And that's exactly what happens around Sigma males. You don't hand out compliments for sport. Not because you're cold, but because you don't perform for approval. You don't offer empty flattery or exaggerated interest just to keep a woman engaged. This absence creates a void. And in that void, the strange reactions begin. Without the usual validation loop to lean on, women start searching for signs, testing you, or overcorrecting in weird ways. Some laugh too loudly. Others get defensive. Some oscillate between charm and irritation. Your presence removes their usual emotional anchors. And suddenly, they're forced to ask themselves questions they're not used to confronting. Am I actually interesting? Do I bring anything besides looks? Why isn't he reacting the way others do? Most people are addicted to feedback. Removing it feels like withdrawal. But here's the twist. This doesn't push women away, it pulls them deeper. The absence of automatic validation creates mystery, interest, and even obsession. They want to understand why their usual tools don't work, why you remain calm even when they push, why you're the one man they can't predict. You're not withholding on purpose. You simply don't need emotional shortcuts. And that level of independence is both frustrating and irresistible, explaining why women often act oddly around you. Number 3. You trigger extreme reactions. With Sigma males, women rarely feel neutral. Their responses tend to swing in opposite directions, attraction pulling them closer while fear of losing control pushes them back. And sometimes both reactions happen inside the same woman, in the same conversation. That's where the strange behavior shows up. Your quiet confidence and independence are magnetic. They signal strength, emotional stability, and zero desperation. Women are instinctively drawn to that. But at the same time, that very independence feels like a challenge. Not physically, but psychologically. They realize they can't easily influence you, shape you, or push you the way they can with other men. Attraction tugs them closer. Ego pushes them away. That internal tug-of-war leaks into their behavior. She leans in and laughs, then suddenly goes cold. She gets playful, then instantly distant. She shows interest, then pretends she doesn't care at all. It's not manipulation. It's conflict. Being drawn to a man she can't sway puts her in unfamiliar territory. With most men, charm guarantees a reaction. But with you, there's a wall of grounded self-possession that can't be breached. That creates a cocktail of excitement and frustration. Her instincts say yes. Her pride says no. Her emotions pull forward. Her logic slams the brakes. This inner clash spills into tone, posture, and mixed signals. Polarized reactions aren't a flaw, they're evidence of your impact. You stir contradictions women cannot easily reconcile. And that tension is exactly why they behave differently with you than with anyone else. Number 4. You radiate an aura of inner wholeness. One of the most disarming aspects of a Sigma male is the way you exude a sense of inner wholeness. A quiet, unshakable completeness that doesn't depend on anyone else. You're not chasing applause, seeking validation, or fishing for constant reassurance. You don't need an audience to confirm your identity, and your sense of self isn't contingent on others' perceptions. This quiet independence isn't flashy or attention-seeking, yet it carries a subtle, magnetic power that can completely shift the social energy in a room. Most men, consciously or not, are conditioned to display their worth. Modern society pushes them to put value on constant display, through possessions, status updates, flirtation, or competing for attention. Women quickly recognize these patterns. They understand who is performing, who seeks approval, and who is trying to impress. That predictability creates a framework they can navigate and sometimes even subtly manipulate. But when you walk into a space without the performance, without needing validation or the spotlight, it creates a presence so profound that it communicates on its own. That silence, that unspoken self-assurance, speaks louder than any boast, joke, or gesture ever could. You don't ask for permission to exist. You don't crave recognition. Your presence conveys, "I am complete as I am." This energy can be both magnetic and unsettling. Some women are drawn to it, captivated by the rare experience of someone who operates entirely from their own center. A man who doesn't require validation becomes impossible to manipulate and unforgettable. Others find it disconcerting, even threatening, because it dismantles the usual social leverage they rely upon. Your self-contained nature forces people, women especially, to confront themselves. They begin to question what, if anything, makes them stand out when your attention isn't automatically given. The absence of constant feedback pushes them into unusual behaviors. Over-explaining, showing off, teasing, or subtly testing your attention, often without consciously realizing why. The irony is that your independence isn't a performance, nor a carefully constructed barrier to keep others at a distance. It isn't about being untouchable or intimidating. It comes from genuine self-comfort, a profound alignment with your own identity. You're not detached to play a game. You're simply not reliant on the emotional validation loops that everyone else has plugged into. That is why women behave differently around you. Your presence disrupts their expectations. You break an unspoken rule, that a man must constantly prove his value to be noticed or respected. And in doing so, you don't just unsettle. They are compelled to recalibrate, often in ways that reveal the depth of their own desires, insecurities, and curiosity. Your aura of inner wholeness doesn't just draw attention. It changes the way they perceive themselves in your presence. Number 5. You disrupt the power of female influence. For most women, influence is instinctive. From a young age, they learn how their charm, attention, or quiet cues can shape a man's behavior. A smile softens resistance. A compliment opens doors. A glance shifts the mood of an entire interaction. And most men, knowingly or not, respond to that influence. They adjust, they bend, they react. But when a Sigma male doesn't play into that dynamic, the entire system glitches. You're not hostile. You're not dismissive. You're not oblivious. You simply don't move on command. That alone challenges the power of female influence in a way that feels strangely unfamiliar. Suddenly, what usually works, the laughter, the playful cues, the subtle manipulation, falls flat. And when influence stops landing, it doesn't just confuse women, it unbalances them. Some push harder. They amplify their charm, exaggerate their presence, or stir up small drama to provoke a reaction. Others retreat abruptly, testing whether distance will pull your attention instead. Both reactions come from the same disruption. Their usual tools don't work on you. This forces them into uncomfortable self-reflection. Not because you're cold, but because your direction doesn't depend on external approval. You don't live by reaction. You live by intention. That distinction slices through the power dynamic they're accustomed to. Instead of leading the interaction through influence, they find themselves responding to you, adjusting, recalibrating, and trying to understand the man who doesn't shift under pressure. And that's where the unpredictable behavior emerges. A woman might swing from overly sweet to strangely irritated within minutes, not out of malice, but out of curiosity and frustration colliding. She's testing what can move you, if anything can. The truth is simple. By refusing to be swayed on command, you reveal which women are genuinely interested, and which are comfortable only when they're in control. And that truth is what makes your presence create such unusual reactions. Number 6. You awaken their hidden curiosity. Curiosity is powerful, and nothing triggers it more than the unknown. Most men overshare without realizing it. Within minutes, they reveal their intentions, insecurities, and entire personality. That makes them easy to read, categorize, and, if needed, control. But Sigma males guard access. You say only what matters, and you keep the rest beneath the surface. That restraint doesn't come across as secrecy, it comes across as depth. And depth always ignites curiosity. When a woman can't immediately decode you, her mind latches onto the mystery. She notices the gaps in conversation, the calm silence, the lack of self-advertising. You become an unfinished puzzle, and human nature hates loose ends. That's when the strange behavior starts. Instead of letting the silence settle, she feels compelled to fill it. Probing questions slip out. So what's your deal? Why are you so quiet? Not because she wants to interrogate you, but because her mind can't relax without answers. Sometimes she jokes about your calmness, trying to see if you'll break character. Other times, she unexpectedly becomes vulnerable, sharing things she wouldn't normally reveal, almost as if your stillness gives her permission to open up. What she doesn't realize is simple. Her behavior reflects your presence. By not dumping your entire identity up front, you flip the dynamic. Instead of you trying to win her interest, she starts chasing yours. Instead of you proving your worth, she begins proving herself. That's the paradox. Your quiet independence doesn't just protect your mystery, it exposes hers. Her curiosity spills out in nervous laughter, random stories, or sudden honesty. It's not that you're confusing, it's that she can't fit you into the usual boxes. And that realization makes her act in ways she normally never would. Number 7. Your stillness feels like a challenge. Most men are taught, directly or indirectly, to entertain. They keep conversations alive with jokes, fill silences with chatter, and project energy to prove they're interesting. Women grow accustomed to this rhythm. It reassures them. It flatters them. And it conveniently keeps the spotlight off their own stillness. But a Sigma male doesn't move that way. Your calm presence, Your refusal to perform just to maintain momentum creates a stillness that feels almost confrontational. It's not that you're cold or aloof. Your stillness isn't passive. It carries weight. It says, I'm here. I'm not trying to impress you. I don't need to fill the air to justify my presence. That energy flips the usual script. Instead of you entertaining them, the silence quietly turns the focus back onto them. Suddenly, they're the ones exposed. They're the ones who must reveal who they are when you give them nothing to hide behind. That's when strange behavior emerges. Some women ramble, crack awkward jokes, or exaggerate stories to fill the space. Others become tense and distant, as if your calmness is somehow challenging them personally. What they're really experiencing is the discomfort of being mirrored. Your stillness strips away their distractions, so their genuine character surfaces, raw and unfiltered. This isn't intentional intimidation. It's simply what authentic presence does. Most people rely on constant stimulation to avoid self-reflection. When they meet someone who doesn't play by those rules, they see themselves more clearly, and that clarity can feel threatening. For some women, your calm feels grounding and safe. For others, it exposes their dependence on noise and validation. In the end, your stillness becomes a quiet test. It doesn't demand anything. It doesn't force anything. It simply holds space, and in that space, women either reveal depth or expose restlessness. That's why your calm can feel confrontational. It pulls truth to the surface where performance usually hides. Final thoughts. The way women act around Sigma males isn't random. It's a mirror reflecting a dynamic they're not used to. Your calm independence, emotional neutrality, and refusal to play by predictable social rules create a presence that can feel both magnetic and unsettling. What may seem like weird behavior is really a response to disruption. Women aren't confused because you're mysterious. They're reacting to the absence of scripts, cues, and predictable patterns they've grown accustomed to. You challenge expectations without even trying. You don't chase approval, you don't perform for validation, and you don't conform to the usual social games. And that shift, it changes everything. The reactions you see, curiosity, competitiveness, awkwardness, overcompensation, attraction, are all signs that your presence matters. They reveal who is genuinely drawn to your authenticity and who struggles with losing the usual control they hold over interactions. Being a Sigma male isn't about manipulation or intimidation. It's about presence. It's about living fully rooted in yourself while letting the world, including the people around you, adjust to your energy, not the other way around. And in that space, you don't just influence behavior. You inspire authenticity, demand respect, and create connections that are rare, unforced, and unforgettable. Ultimately, the weirdness you see isn't a problem. It's proof. Proof that your energy, independence, and quiet power shift the social script. And that, in itself, is extraordinary.